Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 3, Episode 6, The Abandoned. Quark buys a salvaged Jem'Hadar baby, who Odo tries to raise as an independent individual.
Does he want him to be independent?
Yeah, he wants him to live his own life.
I think he wants him to live the life that Odo wants.
Okay, when you say that, it undercuts the entire point of this episode. You've just ruined it for me.
He's projecting on him.
Which is precisely what he didn't want the laboratory techs to do to little Jimmy.
You should have choices as long as the choice you make is the one I want.
Yeah, thinking about it now, Odo kind of disrespected the guy's choice quite a lot. He kept saying, I want to fight people all the time.
Yeah.
Odo kept saying, no, what about becoming a musician? The guy's like, no, fighting.
Yeah, he didn't care what he wanted to do. It was all about Odo's own insecurities. Which leads me to why I mostly like this episode, because I like that aspect that Odo isn't actually trying to set this young boy's mind free. He's so stuck in the narrative of his own life and trying to shape someone else. Aha, because he's a shapeshifter.
Yes, it's a little irony there, if that is indeed irony.
And it's exactly what shapeshifters do, trying to steer the ship with their special rudder.
What?
I don't know.
That made sense whilst I was listening to it, but no, what? Okay, so when you say you mostly like this episode, what aspect was it that put you off?
Jake and his girlfriend.
What, are you saying that you wouldn't want a girlfriend that is 10 years your senior and totally stacked?
It made me so uncomfortable watching this, where this 16-year-old boy is hanging out in a bar with this older woman.
O'Brien was impressed.
I guess that's a good benchmark if you impress O'Brien.
Because he's been through a lot. He's a good salt of the earth, so if he's impressed, you know, it's an impressive thing, objectively.
What did you think of this episode?
It was good fun. I wish they'd named the guy. I was calling him Little Jimmy, because Jimmy Hadar.
Oh, okay. It's pretty good.
I just find it really frustrating to watch it, where they keep talking about the boy. Jeez, just give him a name. But it's fun to get some elaboration on the Jem'Hadar, that they are crazy, fighty guys, incredibly genetically engineered. They're addicted to a drug that's hard to replicate. That's all kind of interesting world-building stuff.
Yeah, it's good world building stuff because it further paints the Jem'Hadar as intimidating and shows you the lengths to which they'll go without just showing them punching people in the face. They show other aspects, although there is face punching in this.
Yeah, it also shows that the founders have got everything sorted out. They've genetically engineered these guys to treat them as gods and also keep them addicted on the side, so they have absolute control.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
I wonder. I think what sold this episode for me was the ending, when Well, it was a bit anticlimactic how they just run for it, but the idea of the ending that for all Odo's pontificating about becoming more than what you are, little Jimmy just really wants to fight and to be a crazy guy. And Odo finally admits that he was wrong. Because I think if it had gone the other way and little Jimmy had said, okay, fighting's fun, but I really like I don't know, architecture, it would have just been a stupid episode and completely undermined the Jem'Hadar.
They didn't name him, but it's a good thing Odo didn't name him. When they went into the holosuite, the name of his program was Odo 1.
Yeah?
So I kept imagining his naming scheme, what the folders would look like on his desktop. Just Odo 1, Odo 2. His password's probably Odo password.
Hang on. If he has to name his file Odo 1, that suggests that his file is generally accessible.
Is it? I don't know.
Well, otherwise, why put your name in it? Just call it 1 if it's in the private Odo folder of the Odo user. But the fact that he called it Odo 1 suggests that it's generally accessible, which for a holodeck is a terrible idea. You could just launch anyone's files and have horrible revelations about what kind of person they are.
It is revealing that Odo 1 is a fighting program.
Oh, maybe it's because, well, he's never visited the holodeck before, presumably. And he said, make a program, and it suggests it's got like a default file name, which is his username with a 1, and he just didn't change it.
That sounds like Odo. Let me just get this over with and get this created for little Jimmy.
Yes, Odo 1, I'll just remember that. And if I make 4,000 more programs, I'll just call them Odo 2 through 4,000, and I'll remember each and every one, rather than just give them names that mean something. And if someone criticizes my naming system, I'll just say, you humanoids, you're all alike.
You humanoids and your frivolous naming schemes, huh? They keep having little moments between Kira and Odo, and I'm starting to like those a lot. Not that I ever disliked them, but they keep going back to that relationship, and it's nice. Every pairing with Kira tends to be really good. Dax and Kira, Bashir and Kira.
Yeah.
So this is continuing that trend.
Even Bashir and Kira is entertaining to watch. Yeah, she's really, I think, the best character in terms of how much she's been developed at this point.
Yeah, she's been fleshed out more than anyone.
So she works really well in combination because her character being rich adds richness to other characters, just like if you pour gravy on food, it tastes of gravy. And that's good if you like gravy.
Yeah, so if you have a really textured character like Kira, you just pair her with anyone and you're going to add texture to that relationship.
A sort of gravy texture.
Yes, Kira gravy texture.
Oh!
Before it gets inappropriate, let's talk more about the inappropriate pairing of Jake and the Dabo girl. Marta.
I am really glad that they mentioned that she is 20 years old in this.
Oh,
because
yeah.
I assumed 28 or something.
I had to look her up, her age, after watching this because I was so unsettled by this episode. She's actually just a few years older than Sarah Clofton. So she looks much older than she is in this episode.
Oh, fair enough. He looks kind of young for his age, I think. But he was like 16 when this was filmed.
But 16 and 20 is still dodgy.
Yeah, it's a 25% age increase. What's the formula? You divide by 2 and add 7 or something.
Oh, is there a formula? I wasn't aware.
Yeah. So 16 and 20 is actually creepy, according to the formula.
Okay, because it seemed creepy. Obviously, no one's going to care about a 40-year-old and a 44-year-old, but when you're in those teens, 16 and 20 is
Wait,
not
what?
okay.
Hold on, what did you just say?
When you're in those
No,
teens,
before 4.
40 and 44.
Oh, I thought you said a 4-year-old and a 44-year-old.
I hope not. It's especially weird for me as a Californian because the age of consent here is 18. So that's a weird territory. But only a handful of states in the United States have the age at 18. A few have it at 17. Most of them have it at 16. So that's not typical in the US, but that's the perspective I came at it from, and it was weird.
Well, if the sexes were reversed and it was a 16-year-old girl with a 20-year-old boyfriend who works in a gambling establishment, then yeah, we would have no problem saying that's a bit of a creepy relationship.
Yeah, and it's still creepy with these roles with the male as the younger. I expected more dad rage from Cisco.
That was actually quite a funny scene when he got completely left in the dust. After he predicted he would just tear them apart.
Did you have any criticisms?
No, actually I didn't write a single thing down. I just didn't really spot anything. It was one of these ones where it's entertaining enough to keep me watching rather than thinking.
Yeah, in the zone.
Yeah, what, did you have anything?
Not really, but this episode made me realize how many times Quark has been manipulated into a deal by someone caressing his ears.
Yeah, that's Umox. It's their sexy time.
Yeah, they just do it so often. And you would think Quark would be aware of that and try to safeguard against that. Otherwise, he'd be striking all of these horrible deals.
Well, that character's appeared before and gave him a good deal last time. If you remember when she appeared before, then bonus points.
I don't. No bonus points for me.
Start of season 2, she sold or gave him the earring that told Kira that there were still Bajoran prisoners on Cardassia.
Ah, okay. Now I remember.
So he may have been making an informed business decision, but the fact that he didn't inspect merchandise tells me that if you just give him a bit of an ear tug, he'll agree to anything that's fairly reasonable.
Yeah, that's the impression I get.
Which isn't that different from people nowadays, to be honest.
That's true. People have their weak spots.
Yeah, you just tug on their ears a bit, roll your finger around in their ear ridges,
Works every time.
blow on their ear, and then say, "Can I have a raise?"
Odo has a quick shape-shifting moment in this when Jimmy tries to dive at him and then he lets him pass through.
Oh, he finally did something that I asked about previously, at least once, which is where he shapeshifts and then reforms facing the opposite way.
Yeah. I really like the mundane shape-shifting like that. I understand budget concerns, but I like seeing that because I would do that stuff all the time.
Yeah, that's why I think this sort of thing would be almost better animated, because they use it so sparingly, and then they have to shape his character around the fact that he kind of doesn't like shapeshifting, which is always frustrating because you would really like it a lot, I suppose. I was thinking about people and the abilities people have in comparison, and we've got things like parkour, free running, athletics, acrobatics, ballet, dance, all this sort of random flailing of limbs sort of stuff. If there was shape-shifting, then yeah, you would go crazy with it.
So we're supposed to believe that up until this point, Odo didn't have quarters. He just had the bucket.
Yeah, because he only goes in it for a few minutes every 16 hours, so he doesn't need to sleep or anything.
That seems rude. He should have a room.
He's got a security desk.
I wouldn't want to live at a security desk, but I'm not Odo.
Well, I don't know, what is it to him? He would just be in a place as a shape. Doesn't matter if it's in his quarters or in security.
But it creates him as an other. It paints him as an other.
I guess. Maybe he did have quarters and he just never used them.
Yeah, he would dismiss it and say, this is pointless. Just give me a place for my bucket.
Yeah, but I can see how it wouldn't really be useful. He's got no clothes, no need to sleep, rest, or no real need for privacy, because I assume he has his only bodily function is melting.
He would have so much free time.
Yeah, I was just thinking, the promenade closes at like 10 or 11 or something. Everyone goes to bed. He's just sitting there for hours in security, reading books and stuff.
That's so sad. He would. That would be really isolating.
Maybe that's why he's a man alone. Because everyone's asleep.
Or eating.
He could eat. There would be no point, but he could.
Can his goop break down food?
No, he could just mash it up into a hole in his belly.
So it'd just be floating inside of him?
Yeah, in a bubble. And then just make a little spout, pour it into the bin.
Well, we've seen him attend a party where the whole point of the gathering was food. And he revealed he can't stir.
That actually makes sense. Well, a lot of human interaction is based around food. We eat all the time, and you'd have to do food stuff even if you didn't eat food. Or you would be really isolated.
So you think he pretends to eat? He just shoves it in his... Oh, okay.
I'm saying he could if he wanted to. He wouldn't, because that would be too much faffing around to impress a bunch of people that he doesn't need to impress because he's not that shallow. So, did you have words of wisdom from the show?
Sometimes the truth is not very pleasant.
Yeah, that's a bit of the Matrix there, the ignorance is bliss.
It's funny thinking about it now because Odo says it to Jimmy, not realizing that he will learn the truth of the situation, that he was wrong about Jimmy.
Yeah, that's true. He even admits it to Kira, who was right about Jimmy, but for the wrong reasons.
How so?
Because she just racially profiled him without a deep understanding that he was genetically engineered to be a violent psychopath.
Oh, right. Maybe she intuited it.
That is racial profiling. Silly Odo. He's not like the other changelings. The solids have done something to him.
He's tainted.
He's got stinky goop.
I'm surprised they didn't make a stink about that on his homeworld, that he's corrupted by solids.
Well, they kind of did. But it was stupid, though. They sent him out to learn about the universe, and he gained, sort of grew as a being because of that knowledge, and then he comes back and they say, well, clearly you wasted your time. Apparently it's so bad that even Jimmy recognizes that Odo is not enough of a fascist.
Yeah, he picked up on that rather quickly. It is kind of neat that Odo creates this space for himself after that episode where they were encouraging him to shapeshift as stuff, and that's the whole purpose of his new place.
Yeah, he needs to get better at shapeshifting. He's not going to fool anyone with his lumpy face.
He says the human face is difficult, and then he replicates, well, not replicates, he shapeshifts into everything else perfectly.
Yeah, he turned into a rat before. But then again, how do we know that if another rat turned up, it wouldn't say, "Oh, what happened to your face?"
Yeah, that's true. They all look the same to us, but then they can pick out individual rats immediately.
Yeah, they might look like an Odo rat or an Odo bird or whatever else he's been.
All the other tables look at the Odo table in disgust.
Truth is sometimes painful, or whatever you said.
Yes.
The painful truth for Odo is... I don't know where I'm going with this.
The painful truth for Odo is that Jake needs to date girls closer to his age. I don't know why Odo is pained by that.
He didn't even interact with Jake.
No.
The painful truth is we should end this podcast and move on to the next episode.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.